Hello everyone, I'm Chris Erkley and welcome to another edition of the PE Crime Blotter. We begin with crime headlines. A Moreno Valley man has been jailed on suspicion of murder in connection with the death of a woman and a 15-year-old boy who were shot early Friday morning. Jail records indicate that 48-year-old Rufus Hodges was arrested by Moreno Valley police about 10 a.m. Friday in the 25,000 block of Alessandro Boulevard. He's being held in Robert Presley Detention Center in Riverside on $1 million bail. A developmentally disabled Riverside woman confessed to setting the April 20th fire that killed her father and injured her mother, according to court documents. A search warrant affidavit said 46-year-old Deborah Marie Clark declared that she had, quote, burned the books, end quote. Clark is accused of murdering her father, Harley Clark. Her mother, Linda Clark, later died, but a cause of death has not been announced for the terminally ill woman. Sheriff's officials in Victorville say on Saturday a littering suspect pulled a knife and charged a deputy sheriff who opened fire and hospitalized the man. The man, 53-year-old Timothy Gray of Victorville, began acting erratically, then drew a knife and charged the officer. Officials did not say how many shots were fired or how severely Gray was wounded. Well, that does it for today's crime headlines. Coming up next, we have John Asbury in studio to discuss opening statements in the Ricky Lee Fowler trial. It's now time for our in-depth segment. We are discussing the opening statements made in the Ricky Lee Fowler case. I'm joined now by John Asbury. John, you were in the courtroom today in San Bernardino. Ricky Lee Fowler on trial for the old fire back in 2003. 9 years later, opening statements made today. And John, it began with an interesting twist with Fowler himself.
Right. As we got to court, we found out that Fowler was refusing to come to court. His attorney was exasperated and aside, and prosecutors, defense, and the judge in his plain clothes went to an upstairs holding cell where the judge issued an extraction order ordering Fowler to be removed from his holding cell and then come to attend court.
And also an interesting twist with the media involvement in photos and video.
Sure, and the defense threatened to move for a mistrial because as Fowler entered, several cameras were photographing him having his chains removed, and the defense is worried that that might suggest guilt to a jury, even though the jury is ordered not to watch the news or the media. And so as a consular gesture, the judge allowed the photography to happen as Fowler sat at the defense table with his attorney.
And he's had some interesting behavior since he was first in custody.
Right, and it's important to remember that Ricky Fowler, he almost already faces a virtual life sentence. He was sentenced to 75 years to life earlier this year for a sodomy case inside a San Bernardino County jail. And he's been interrogated 9 times, and he's admitted to the old fire several times, or at least being near the scene. He at one point said that he was at the scene and he had planned to set the fire, but his accomplice, who is now deceased, actually started it before he could. He's also sort of recanted those confessions, as well as planning to plead guilty, but at the last minute changing his mind. And that brings us to trial today.
And talk about the challenges ahead for the prosecution for getting these 5 murder convictions.
Sure, and this isn't your classic murder case. And as the defense said, that Fowler wanted to be associated with this case just in some sort of bizarre, grandiose theory that he could be linked to the largest fire in San Bernardino County history. And all of these victims died of heart attack deaths. No one actually died in the fire. And so the prosecution is going to have to prove that these people died as of stress and result from the fire, and it falls under the felony murder rule, which says that if someone dies in the commission of a felony, in this case arson, that it can be related to murder.
All right, John, thanks for joining us. Be sure to keep us updated later this week with more developments in the Fowler case. That does it for our in-depth segment and also wraps up today's PE Crime Blotter. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Tuesday.